6,000,000 quartz. Okay. Hello, and welcome to the Containment Vault. I'm your host, AJ, and today, you can see my face. At least if you're on YouTube. I've been out for a little while. Let's just say the Foundation doesn't pay that great, and they kind of want me to do this on my own time. So, I took a little time off, did a few other things, and now we're back and we're going to see how this goes. Figured I'd just overhaul the whole thing and have a drink while we're at it. So, today we're going to start with SCP-032, Brother's Bride. SCP-032, Brother's Bride. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-032 is to be housed in an Automated Containment Unit 535/15. Direct contact with SCP-032 is to be restricted to research-relevant tasks only. Interviews, if deemed necessary, are to be carried out using the unit's remote communication array. While SCP-032's presence is not directly harmful to the human body, exposure to it is to be limited to periods of 12 hours or less due to its adverse effects on most beneficial microorganisms. SCP-032 is not to be exposed to any biological material not refined or otherwise tempered by humanity, with an emphasis on non-human living entities. For full list of classifications, see document 032-RCL. SCP-032 neither requires nor requested substances or other forms of comfort. Description: SCP-032 is a Type F, or imperfect external resemblance, internally inconsistent, human simulacrum? Listen, I can't do words. Words are hard. Simulacrum of currently unknown origins. It is composed of an outer shell of pigmented silicone, 5.5 millimeters thick, and various plastic fiber polymers, with the outward appearance of a Caucasian woman nearing the third decade of life. So, me. SCP-032's interior is composed entirely of liquid refined oil, lacking any skeletal or muscle structure. Despite this, SCP-032 is capable of locomotion and speech. Probably better than me. SCP-032 is capable of maintaining the illusion of humanity at a moderate distance. Listen, I think this is just about me at this point. But becomes unconvincing at a closer range, causing mild discomfort in most observers. SCP-032 possesses extreme adverse effects onto any biological entity in its close vicinity not created fully. I'm telling you. I'll get better at this someday. I mean, probably not, but this is where we're at. Okay. SCP-032 possesses extreme adverse effects to any biological entity in its close vicinity not created, willfully influenced, manipulated by, or similarly relating to humanity. I'm not saying I feel personally attacked, but maybe. This effect has been deemed non-anomalous. Despite apparently processing fully realized cognitive abilities, SCP-032 claims that it is not sapient, acting only as an intermediary instrument of its creators. The Foundation has not been able to verify or refute this claim as of yet. While the exact nature of these effects varies, SCP-032's presence inevitably causes severe and irreparable damage to the ability of any living organism to exchange and or use energy. Wild flora loses its ability to photosynthesize or otherwise produce or consume energy. fauna, the use of its respiratory and digestive systems, etc. This applies to microorganisms as well, though SCP-032's effects seem to favor damage to their reproductive systems instead. It is hypothesized that the symbiotic relation some microorganisms have to humanity is the reason for this discrepancy. Weird. SCP-032 was discovered sitting on the doorstep of the inner compound of Foundation Site redacted near redacted Slovakia. When questioned by Foundation security personnel, SCP-032 explained its anomalous effects and claimed it was there to be stored. Surveillance footage shows no record of the time of its arrival, and it is not yet known how SCP-032 came to know Site Redacted's location or approach it without being spotted. That is pretty fucked up. When asked for its reason for seeking Foundation custody, SCP-032 replied that it was there at the command of its creators, seeking indefinite storage until claimed. I don't like that. I don't know about you. I'm not a fan. Why does it need to be claimed? Okay. Oh, we've got some interviews. Okay. So, addendum. Oh, Jesus, long. Interview 032/A. Note, this interview was recorded near the time of SCP-032's initial containment by a Dr. Alexander Kovac, Site Redacted resident psychologist, following its initial examination by Site security. Dr. Kovac, before we begin, there's something I feel like I should ask you. Since security so often neglects doing so, it's not strictly conforming to protocol, but I find it tends to make things easier. 032, I was instructed to cooperate. Good. Very good. Tell me then, what is your name? I don't have one. People have names. I am not one. Is that so? Did your so-called creators call you then? What did your so-called creators call you then? Don't judge me. They didn't. Surely they had to refer to you somehow. I'm a vessel of their will and nothing else. They never needed to call. They never will. In that case, would you mind if I refer to you as SCP-032? I was instructed to cooperate. So you said. Tell me then, what is the purpose of your coming here? I am to be stored here until collected. Security told me that much, but why here, and collected by whom? Collected by the ones they wish to torment. And stored here because in finding me here, he will suffer further. Is that so? Is that person you refer to part of this organization then? Do your creators bear some grudge toward a particular operative? He is not one of you. Merely a one-time sympathizer of sorts. He believes you tried to help him once, and if he is forced here, if he finds me here, you will die. That will hurt him. They have no interest in any of you or your organization. You are here as a tool, just as I am. Who is this man, then? What did he do to earn this sort of treatment from your creators? He did not know this place. Won when he should have lost, was proud when he should have been humbled, was wasteful with gifts too precious for abuse. And you're here as punishment? He was already punished severely, forced away from kin and kind, to endlessly wander, to destroy against his will, to poison humanity by his very presence. Eternal solitude, flavored by ceaseless guilt, a masterwork of torment, they say. If that's the case, why are you here? Because even in this existence, there is the occasional moment of solace. At times, he may yet look to the world and see things he will not destroy. Look to nature and feel warm wonder, and bask in the false light of ancient, moldy memories. It keeps him sane, gives him hope. That will not serve. Hence my presence. I am to be his last undoing, a hastening to the end of reason. And how will your presence do that? Are you meant to deceive him in some way? Is that why you look the way you do? In a manner of speaking, eventually his wanderings will lead him here to me, in a day or a month or a century, and he'll recognize me and see what they think of his precious memories, how they mock them. He'll understand that because of his actions, he is forever beyond his grasp. She is forever beyond his grasp. And all that remains to him is me. A simulacrum as artificial as his hope. When he finds me, I will attach myself to him, and he will watch the mockery of his memories destroy his last source of solace. And that will be that. You said he'll recognize you? Why? I used to be his wife. Damn. Okay. That's some shit. Okay, Okay, this is the second interview. It says, note this interview was held 6 months following SCP-032's initial containment as part of a series of interviews meant to evaluate SCP-032's cognitive abilities and personality or lack thereof. Okay, begin log. I hate her. Well, that's certainly a way to start an interview. Care to elaborate? The one I was made to look like, my mold. I hate her. An interesting sentiment for you to have, considering your repeated assurance that you possess no consciousness or feelings of your own. I don't. I hate her because they want me to. It serves their purpose. How do you get that impression? The first thing they did after creating me was to show her to me. It's not something they often do. I don't follow. Interfere with those who pass beyond their walls. They might be vengeful, spiteful, even cruel, but they take their duties very seriously. Just to show her to me, to risk disturbing her final rest. They wouldn't do that without a purpose. And she was beautiful, so peaceful, serene, whole, even gone, even dead. I could see the essence of who she used to be, of who she still was and forever will be, her soul. They told me she didn't get to live for all that long, but when she lived, she was herself. She was alive, and so I hated her. Do you know what it feels like to be made as a mockery? In every line... Oh. Wrong one. Do you know what it feels like to be made as a mockery? In every line of that smooth, silent face, I saw a twisted reflection of my own. A fragrant skin molded to molded plastic. Soft hair to synthetic fiber. Blood to oil. Soul to nothing at all. Excuse me if this sounds presumptuous, but I can't imagine feelings like this coming from anywhere but yourself. Can't you see? This is all part of their plan. When he finds me, when he sees what the brothers created to punish him further, he'll go mad. Because of what they did to the memory of his wife? Not only that, because he'll see me. He'll see how much I hate her, and how much I hate myself for not being her. Hate being here at all. And then what? Then a final realization. And what would that be? He never won. Alright, and that is all we have for 032. Alright, let's move on to SCP-033, the missing number. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-033 should be inscribed with on any single sheet of irregularly shaped and handcrafted paper. What? Okay. I'm just going to start this over. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-033 should be inscribed on any single sheet of irregularly shaped and handcrafted paper, papyrus, canvas, or vellum when not involved in active observation or study. The dimensions of the paper-like product should have no parallel borders, no right angles, no sides length should be equal to any other. 033 safe. When contained in this manner, the paper-like product should be secured in a locked, non-combination storage vault at least 30 meters from any computing or recording devices. Logs for checkout or check-in of SCP-033 should be filled out at the minimum safe distance of 30 meters to avoid possible contamination of the paper product or electronic device the log is kept in. Okay. When removed for study, SCP-033 can be copied to a white or chalkboard with 033 safe dimensions by Class D staff. Upon transfer to the white/chalkboard, the paper-like product that had contained SCP-033 should be incinerated. Observation and study should take place in a secured conference room at least 30 meters from any computing or recording device for the maximum 2,560-second viewing window. That's oddly specific. All observations or notes should be made on 033 safe materials. Under no circumstances should any notes regarding SCP-033 leave the storage facility or be input into a computing or recording device. I think we get it. Don't record it. Just use paper. Go old school. At precisely 2,000 seconds of viewing, research must stop and SCP-033 should be transferred to a new 033 safe paper-like product and returned to storage by Class D staff. The white or chalkboard utilized in research must be incinerated as soon as possible after the transfer is complete, regardless of whether SCP-033 has faded naturally from its surface at 2,560 seconds. Whether 033 safe procedures halt or merely slow the Why did my brain just die? Whether 033 safe procedures halt or merely slow the deleterious effects of SCP-033 is unknown. It is theorized the irregular borders and handcrafting by mathematically unpredictable humans somehow disrupt the logic which allows SCP-033 to function. Okay. Description. SCP-033 appears as a field of complex mathematical symbols ranging from simple, layman-identifiable representations to those only interpretable by highly trained mathematicians. The sum of the symbols is equal to a previously unknown integer, designated theta prime by Professor Hutchinson, of intermediate value between redacted and redacted. Although they do look like just single numbers. I don't know math. I don't know how math works. As all modern mathematical calculations are performed lacking the knowledge or use of SCP-033, its introduction into any system organized without it begins eroding the numerical and eventually structural integrity of said item. This effect extends to SCP-033's transfer to any paper-like, defined as paper, vellum, papyrus, canvas, surface not possessing 033 safe dimensions or any computing or recording device it is put into. The dangers of drinking on the job. If inscribed on any other material, SCP-033 fades into unintelligibility in precisely 2,560 seconds. In addition, SCP-033 shows an ability to leap from an 033 safe material to a manufactured or electronic material which it can destabilize in at least one instance. Incident report 033-D. Requiring the institution of a 30-meter safe distance for electronic devices and paper-like products without 033 safe dimensions. There is currently no 033 safe specification for electronic storage. Redacted of the redacted. Operational research projects involving SCP-033 are dedicated to finding such a method for electronic storage. Redacted operational research projects are dedicated to the application of SCP-033 as a neutralizing factor for potentially hostile machine logic-based SCP objects. Clarifying commentary from Professor Hutchinson follows for non-specialist staff in document 033-A. Effects may be reviewed in document 033-Q. That's a lot of documents, guys. We usually don't get more than, like, what, 2 or 3? Okay. Document 033-A. Debriefing of Professor Hutchinson after first observation. The transcript apparently has been edited for clarity. I get the feeling we're still not going to know what the fuck is going on here. But let's try it. Professor Hutchinson. Every school child knows that 2 plus 2 is 4. The solid mathematical certainty of numerical order and value is the basis for all logic-based systems. We know that after 2 comes 3, and after 3 comes 4. What this formula proves is that we missed a number somewhere. Imagine if all our technology was based on the belief that after 4 came 6. We simply didn't know or conceive of 5. That is, in essence, what this formula proves. We missed a number. I can't tell you why the handcrafted vellum works best. I can only surmise that it displaces the mathematical predictability in 2 ways. 1, the irregularity of the crafting process due to a human error serves to eliminate any traces of regularity that would be found in a machine-created product. Or 2, the irregular borders seem to confuse it somehow, as if it gets locked up looking for a pattern to identify and use it as an escape hash. I'll tell you this, though. I don't think it should be left on anything longer than a few days. It will find a pattern eventually. I don't think it destroys anything. I think it tries integrating itself into our system, and our system can't hold it. It's like trying to cram another book into a full bookshelf. If you get a hammer, you can get it in there, but the whole shelf bursts eventually. If it gets out into the internet, we'll potentially experience a full IT infrastructure collapse within hours. That sounds bad. I can't even imagine. Not today, at least, I mean. Alright, document 033-Q. Oh, so we just skipped. You know, if we missed numbers, I suppose we can just skip over letters, right? Like, we don't need all that in between. Document 033-Q. Test results for trial 033 Delta 5. SCP-033, inscribed into a single sheet of standard 8.5 by 11 inch manufactured white copy paper, hereafter called X1, and a second sheet of identical paper, hereafter X2, placed 30 centimeters away. At 80 seconds, symbols consistent with the content of SCP-033 begin appearing on X2. X1 remains unchanged. At 160 seconds, full content of SCP-033's formula appear on the surface of X2, X1 still unchanged. 320 seconds, X1, X2, Both appear wet, but symbols are still visible. 640 seconds. X1 is now roughly 1 part water and 5 parts pulp-like substance, still filling an 8.5 by 11 inch flat plane. Symbols become unintelligible. X2 appears wet. Symbols are still visible. 1,280 seconds. X1 is no longer visible at all. Liquid part appears to have evaporated. Pulp-like substance apparently sublimated. X2 now roughly 1 part liquid and 5 parts pulp-like substance, still filling an 8.5 by 11 inch flat plane. Symbols unintelligible. And our big number here, 2,560 seconds. X2 is no longer visible at all. Liquid part appears to have evaporated. Pulp-like substance apparently sublimated. And that's all we've got for that. But then, where does it go after that? If both the things it was on are gone. Okay, on to the next one. SCP-034, an Obsidian ritual knife. This is right up my alley. Ooh, there's a picture. I'll see if I can pop the picture up here somewhere. I don't know video editing, to be honest with you. I'll do what I can. It looks cool, though. I mean, it's a black obsidian knife. It's pretty standard, but, like, I'd have one. Okay. So our object class here is safe, which is great. Love that. Usually. Not always. We'll see what happens, I guess. Alright. Special containment procedures. SCP-034 is to be kept in a secure room with access granted only to level 4 personnel. SCP-034 itself will be kept in a locked case that is under 24-hour surveillance. When not in lab conditions, SCP-034's protective sheath cannot be removed under any circumstances. Don't do it. I know you're thinking about it. Any personnel in contact with SCP-034 must be placed under a 24-hour observation period until their identities can be confirmed? What did you just say to me? Okay. Let's see what this is all about. Okay. Description. SCP-034 is a primitive knife constructed out of pure obsidian. Tests reveal that SCP-034 is approximately 1,000 years old. Despite its crude method of construction and age, SCP-034 is still incredibly sharp and requires no maintenance to retain its edge. It's obsidian. It's not steel. You shouldn't have to... What are you using this knife for that would really dull it? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll make sense. I don't know. Okay. Expert analysis hypothesizes that SCP-034 may be of South American origin and that it may have been used in Native American rituals. Several accounts from Spanish conquistadors exploring the redacted region support this hypothesis, with detailed writings on how redacted priests would flay their victims alive with similar knives and wear the skin as a tribute to their gods. Okay. That's fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Some real Ed Gein shit here, huh? Yeah. Okay. SCP-034 has the ability to allow its bearer to take on the appearance of another individual. Good. Great. If SCP-034 is used to cut a piece of flesh from a living individual, and that piece of flesh is placed against the skin of another individual, the second individual would take on not only the appearance, but all physical features of the first individual. Oh. We got some polyjuice potion here, but angrier. Great. Testing has shown that the minimum amount of skin required can be as little as 1 square centimeter. However, testing has also revealed that the amount of time the transformation lasts is directly proportional to the amount of flesh used. The ratio of time the transformation lasts to flesh used has been measured. The ratio of time the transformation lasts to flesh used has been measured at approximately 1 hour for every square centimeter used. Once the time limit has passed, the affected individual will revert to their original form. Again, I'm just saying, it's probably easier polyjuice potion, but I guess they would know. I would hope so. Okay. Analysis of SCP-034's ability shows that its method of mimicking another individual is nearly flawless. Terrifying. Not only does SCP-034 change its bearer's physical appearance, but their actual physical attributes as well, including height, weight, muscle mass, bone density, hair growth, eyesight, strength, physical medical conditions, and even DNA. Subjects still retain their original personality and memories while transformed. Even though the process is nearly instantaneous, taking only a few seconds, human test subjects have described the transformation process as extremely painful. Yeah, I'd be concerned if it wasn't. Where was I? Subjects also may suffer psychological trauma depending on the extent of their physical transformation. Side effects are especially serious if the subject takes on the appearance of a person with differing gender or with wildly different physical attributes. I'm saying, live with chronic pain for even a day. I want to see how you do. Oh. Interesting. Okay, so, however, in order to function properly, the individuals who have their flesh cut off by SCP-034 must still be biologically alive to maintain the transformation. So we can't just be turning into deadmen. That's probably a good thing. Or bad. I don't know if that's good or bad. Should the individual whose identity has been stolen expire, the effect immediately wears off. Further details may be found in Lab Report 034A. Also, SCP-034 only appears to work on human subjects. Cross-species experiments with SCP-034 have resulted in data expunged. Again, that polyjuice potion. Sorry, Hermione. Bad luck. Although you would think her being the smartest one would have, figured that shit out ahead of time and, known that was cat hair. I don't know. She was young, I guess. That's all I got. SCP-034 came into Foundation possession when an imposter disguised as Dr. Redacted attempted to infiltrate Site Redacted. The imposter was apprehended when authorities discovered the real Dr. Redacted tied up in his home with a large portion of his right arm skinned. Ow. Oh, they'd be impostered for a really long time. I mean, a centimeter's not big. If you got half his fucking arm, he could go for days. Damn. Further details may be found in post-interrogation report 2211. On to the lab report. Oh, I'm so excited about that. Yeah, that's better, okay? Listen, I'll figure out this whole camera situation. Maybe I can make it so that it's more than 3 inches away from my face. I promise nothing right now. Also, we've switched from a buzzball to some cheap rosé. Oh, the first round. That's better. The first sip is always bad. You know. Alright, lab report 034A. We've decided to test several scenarios dealing with the limits of SCP-034's capabilities. I don't think you should, but we're here. On test 1. Sample taken from deceased human cadaver and applied to subject D-452. Thank God I'm not a D class. Nobody wants to be a D class. D class is real bad. They get real tested on, and it's... I can't imagine they get paid nearly enough for what they go through. There is no observable effect, as we already know. They said that the dead men don't really do anything. Alright, test 2. A sample taken from D532 and applied to D452. Dude, 452, I'm sorry, you really have to... I see you on here a few times. Sorry, dude. That really seems to suck. Not at... Oh. Sorry, bro. D452 successfully mimics D532's appearance. Upon termination of D532... Sorry, bro. RIP. 452 immediately reversed back to original form. I like that we're just sacking people out here. Like, the amount of people that we just sacrifice for knowledge is bonkers. Anyway. I guess 452 got the better end of that deal, but we'll see how this goes. Test 3. Sample taken from D433 while under medically induced coma and applied to subject D452. D452 successfully mimics 433's appearance and manages to maintain the transformation and consciousness. Oh. Sorry, I'm reading ahead. Test 4. Sample taken from a brain-dead medical patient who suffered a massive brain hemorrhages. Words. Sample taken from a brain-dead medical patient who suffered a massive brain hemorrhage and applied to D452. D452 successfully mimics the patient's appearance but immediately loses consciousness upon transformation. D452 does not regain consciousness until the transformation period expires. D452 retains no memory of the event. Test number 5. Sample taken from D625, who suffered a broken arm due to confrontation with security staff. Bad. I'm guessing you deserved it. 452 successfully mimics 625's appearance, including the broken arm. 452's broken arm is remended when the transformation period expires. Oh, I wonder if that hurt. That probably hurt. Test number 6. Sample taken from a terminally ill medical patient and applied to D452. Patient's terminal illness was caused by an inherent genetic defect. 452 successfully mimics the patient's appearance as well as the patient's illness. Both the terminally ill patient and D452 expire at the same time, after which 452 reverts back to original form. Well, at least he didn't die. 452, that is. Sorry for the other guy, though. That sucks. Test number 7. Sample taken from a chimpanzee and applied to 466. Oh, we're done with 452. Okay, he gets a break. 466 That would suck. 466 experiences rapid growth of hair across the entire body. There are otherwise no other significant physical or psychological changes. Body hair disappears when the transportation period expires. Again, real Hermione thing. Test number 8. Sample taken from an Atlantic salmon and applied to 466. There is no observable effect. That's good, because if you got scaly... Well, if you got gills, though, I feel like that could be a good time. Like, I would... Oh, it's like gillyweed. Dude. I feel like that could be a good time. I think I'd try gillyweed. Be a little mermaid for a hot minute. Just like not hot. Anyway. Test number 9. Final test. Under O5 authorization, a sample taken from SCP-redacted is applied to 466. D466 exhibits extremely adverse reaction upon transformation and data expunged, resulting in significant damage to testing environment, multiple injuries among test and security staff, and the death of 466. Testing of anomalous humanoids with SCP-034 is suspended indefinitely. I want to know what do they do? Why you gotta redact the fun part, man? I would have checked out whatever that other SCP is and seen what happened. Oh, what was it? What was the Brother's Bride? That could have been fun. I really want to know what happened there. I really want to know which SCP they did that with. Alright. Post-interrogation report 2211. As per standard operating procedures, we first attempted to interrogate the prisoner via non-violent and non-invasive means. However, when such methods proved ineffective, we began to implement conventional interrogation techniques. Which sounds unconventional, but fine. While partially successful, we deemed it necessary to use SCP for redacted SCPs, and we managed to learn the following facts. Again, I need to know these things. This is rude. Alright, so we learned the following facts. The prisoner had extensive knowledge on the existence of the Foundation and its inner workings. Sketchy. The prisoner had extensive knowledge of other SCP-related agencies and groups. Who are they? I want to know who these other agencies and groups are because I want to check into them because I'm bored. I shouldn't be. I work too much, but I need to know things. The prisoner was not acting under any official capacity from any government agency. That's good, at least. The prisoner obtained SCP-034 and instructions on its operation from an unknown benefactor. Classic. The prisoner was given very specific instructions to infiltrate Site Redacted and maintain his position until further notice. And the prisoner had enough samples of Dr. Redacted to stay within the Site Redacted for redacted days. I said it could be days. Regrettably, the prisoner did not survive interrogation. That's it for that. We're gonna do one more. Mostly because this is one that I've actually heard of, and it's not anything crazy, but it is interesting. Oh, there's another picture. Again, I'll try to figure that out. No promises, but I promise I'll try. Okay? That's the best I got. Okay, so SCP-035. Possessive Mask. And like I said, there's a little picture, and it looks like it's a tragedy mask. They'll describe it. We'll get there. Oh, whatever. SCP-035. Anyway, object class Keter. Special containment procedures. SCP-035 is to be kept within a hermetically sealed glass case, no fewer than 10 centimeters or 4 inches thick. This case is to be contained within a steel, iron, and lead shield room at all times. Doors are to be triple locked at all times, with the exception of allowing personnel in or out, which seems like a bad plan, but maybe that's just me. Guards must remain outside at all times and are not allowed within the containment room under any circumstances. A trained psychologist is to remain on site at all times. Research personnel are not to touch SCP-035 at any time. SCP-035 must be moved to a new sealed case every 2 weeks. Listen, 035 sounds expensive. The previous case must be disposed of via SCP-101, as it shows no adverse reactions to SCP-035's corruption. Anyone who comes into contact with SCP-035 when it is in possession of a host is to be given an immediate psychological evaluation. I can't say I don't want to meet it. I probably don't, but listen, don't tell me not to do something. I'm going to want to do it. Okay, description. SCP-035 appears to be a white porcelain comedy mask, although at times it will change to tragedy, like I said. In these events, all existing visual records, such as photographs, video footage, even illustrations of SCP-035 automatically change to reflect its new appearance. That's crazy. So, like, a picture taken a year ago of it in the comedy stage is going to change to tragedy? How did they figure that out? A highly corrosive and degenerative viscous liquid constantly seeps from the eye and mouth holes of SCP-035. Gross. Anything coming into contact with the substance slowly decays over a period of time. Depending on the material, until it is decayed completely into a pool of the original contaminant. Glass seems to react the slowest to the effects of the item, hence the construction choice of its immediate container. Living organisms that come into contact with the substance react much the same way, with no chance of recovery. Damn. Origin of the liquid is unknown. Liquid is only visible from the front and does not emerge or is even visible from the other side. Very strange. Subjects within 1.5 to 2 meters or 5 to 6 feet of SCP-035 or in visual contact with it experience a strong urge to put it on. I already feel that. I shouldn't. I do, though. When SCP-035 is placed on the face of an individual, an alternate brainwave pattern from SCP-035 overlaps with that of the original host, effectively snuffing it out and causing brain death to the subject. Okay, I'm going to retract my earlier statements. I don't want it. I was joking. I promise I was joking. The subject then claims to be the consciousness contained within SCP-035. The bodies of possessed subjects decay at a highly accelerated rate, eventually becoming little more than mummified corpses. Again, I retract all of my earlier statements saying I kind of want to put it on. Nevertheless, SCP-035 has demonstrated the ability to remain in cognitive control of a body experiencing severe structural damage, even if the subject's body literally decays to the point where motion is not mechanically possible. It's like a zombie? I mean, we've seen zombies that are pretty much just bones. No effect is found to be had when placed on the face of an animal. That's good. The doggos are safe. I like that. Conversations with SCP-035 have proven to be informative. Researchers have learned various details about other SCP objects and history in general. As SCP-035 claims to have been at many momentous events. Listen, I was doing really good with the words there. Just give me a break. SCP-035 displays a highly intelligent and charismatic personality, being both amiable and flattering to all those who speak with it. SCP-035 has scored in the 99th percentile in all intelligence and aptitude tests administered to it and appears to have a photographic memory. Still doing better than me. However, psychological analysis has discovered that SCP-035 to possess a highly manipulative nature, capable of forcing sudden and profound changes to interviewers' psychological state. SCP-035 has proven to be highly sadistic, prompting some to commit suicide and transforming others into near-mindless servants with linguistic persuasion alone. Okay, I'm really flipping the switch here on whether or not I like this thing. Listen, it sounded interesting to begin with, but I'm good. Real good. It can stay in its box. SCP-035 has stated that it has intimate knowledge of the workings of the human mind and implied that it could change anyone's views if given enough time. Let it talk to the vegans. Anyway. Additional. SCP-035 was found in a sealed crypt in an abandoned house in Venice in 18 redacted. Addendum 035-1. SCP-035 has been found to be able to possess anything that has a humanoid shape, including mannequins, corpses, and statues. Yeah, let's start putting it on mannequins. SCP-035 has been able to motivate all into movement, removing the need to expose live subjects to SCP-035 for once. Still, anything it possesses inevitably decays into motionlessness. But hey, at least those poor D-Class aren't really getting screwed over on this one like they did with the last one. Addendum 035-2. SCP-035 has facilitated an escape attempt, convicting several of the research staff to aid in its bid for freedom. Insurrection failed. All staff that have been in contact with SCP-035 have been terminated, killed, and mandatory psychiatric evaluations have been implemented for all personnel coming in contact with SCP-035. Addendum 035-03. It has been determined that SCP-035 is capable of telepathy, whether or not it possesses a host, even penetrating to the subconscious of others and using the knowledge it finds to its advantage. Stay in your box. Extreme caution is advised when choosing subjects to converse with SCP-035. Addendum 035-04. SCP-035 has expressed an interest in other SCPs, most notably SCP-4715 and SCP-682. I'm going to forget this by the time we get to those. But I'm trying to stay true to form here and not check these out. Dr. Redacted has expressed worry that should SCP-035 bond with either, their regenerative qualities could negate its corruption and give it a permanent host. Put them at different facilities. Don't be stupid. They better be at different facilities. Like all three of those should be at 3 different facilities. I don't know how many facilities there are, but there's at least 3. There's got to be. Addendum 035-05. After several more escape attempts and after reviewing SCP-035's incident records, High Command has ordered that it be permanently sealed within the facility and prohibited from being allowed any more hosts. Duh! Several personnel have protested against this, with some even erupting into violence. As a direct result, all personnel that have come into contact with SCP-035 have been terminated. Killed. Going forward, all personnel that deal with SCP-035 are to be rotated frequently, and contact is to be limited even to its dormant state as little as possible. Addendum 035-06. Personnel within 10 meters of SCP-035 have recently reported feeling unease, stating that they can hear unintelligible whispering. Several others have suffered from severe migraines. Object has been monitored, but there is no change in its dormant behavior, and no sounds have been recorded. The motion to reinstate SCP-035's host privileges has been brought up once more, if only on a temporary basis, to discover these new changes in the object's behavior. These requests have been denied. Thank God. Why would you? Why would you ever? It's the Foundation, of course they would. Still with the rosé. Okay. Addendum 035-06. Personnel within 10 meters of SCP-035 have recently reporting feeling unease. Wait. We did that already. This is what I get for scrolling. Addendum 035-07. The walls of SCP-035's containment cell have suddenly begun secreting a black substance. Gross. Tests on the subjects have revealed. Tests on the substance have revealed it to be human blood, although highly contaminated with several foreign and unknown agents. Substance is corrosive, having a pH of 4.5, and prolonged exposure to the walls has proven to be detrimental to their structural integrity. It's really determined to get out of there. More notably, it seems to be forming patterns on the walls. Several segments seem to be paragraphs in various languages, including Italian, Latin, Greek, and Sanskrit. Translation is pending. Other segments appear to be diagrams depicting a ritualistic sacrifice and mutilation, often for the arcane benefit of the person committing them. Several staff members have been shocked to note that all of the sacrifices bear an uncanny resemblance to various personnel and their loved ones, often in conflicting positions. Researchers while in the room examining these newly formed patterns have complained of hearing loud whispering and high-pitched, unnerving laughter at irregular intervals. Terrifying. Why the laughter? Personnel in this section working daily near and around SCP-035's containment unit have suffered catastrophic morale damage, with an all-time high in suicide rates in staff in that area, whether or not they have ever had contact with SCP-035. The only change in SCP-035's dormant behavior is regarding its contained glass case. Degradation of the case has increased to a high degree, enough so that the glass will occasionally shatter, causing a wide dispersal of SCP-035's containment. This occurs quite often at the most inopportune times, so far resulting in 6 casualties and 3 fatalities of both research and cleanup staff. Addendum 035-08. In light of the mass suicide/homicide of the members of the research team tasked with translating the passages garnered from SCP-035's containment cell, the morale damage in the area, the general loss of staff dealing with SCP-035 to either death or insanity, it has been decided to coat the inner and outer walls of the containment cell with SCP-048, which has proved well in the containment of SCP-032. See document 132-1 in order to hopefully block out the high levels of negativity being emitted by SCP-035. Addendum 035-9. The use of SCP-148 has worked well, causing morale and suicide rates to return to near pre-SCP-035 rates. That's something. However, the material appears to facilitate the negativity within the cell, causing a veritable greenhouse effect inside. Personnel inside the cell have stated that they feel a heavy sense of dread, fear, anger, and general depression, as well as hearing constant, nearly inaudible whispering upon immediate entry. That sounds like the worst, honestly. The whispering? A prolonged stay causes severe migraines, suicidal tendencies, heavy hemorrhaging of blood vessels around the eyes and inside the mouth and nose, general hostility to others, and for the whispering to increase to almost deafening volumes, intersected by a constant mocking laughter. Exposure of more than 3 hours inevitably results in the subject falling into a deep psychosis and attempting to harm either themselves or others. Most spoke in Latin or Greek, despite the fact that several did not previously know how to speak said languages beforehand. The presence of blood in both word and diagram formations has increased disproportionately. The walls becoming cluttered, and the formations beginning to overlap each other. The substance has proven to be both difficult to clean and even more corrosive than was originally recorded, with a pH of roughly 2.4 now. General estimation gives the current walls a life of 2 months before they will need replacement. It is becoming gradually more and more difficult to contain SCP-035, and the debate to reinstate its host privileges has once again come up, and been denied, thankfully. Addendum 035-10. The walls, ceiling, and floor of SCP-035's containment cell have now been completely saturated in blood. All personnel entering and guarding the area must wear full hazmat protection suits. Constant cleaning efforts are being instated. Constant. That's crazy. Addendum 035-11. The magnitude, intensity, and recurrence of the phenomena that occur within SCP-035's containment cell have increased to an alarming degree. The cell door has been known to become locked of its own accord while personnel are inside and unable to be opened for a period of time. Appendages form out of the larger puddles of blood and often attempt to grab or harm personnel near them. Blurry apparitions have started appearing to staff. Electronic devices no longer work inside the cell, and the light cannot be turned on. Though there is no physical reason why it does not work, forcing those entering to use non-electric based light sources. Cleaning measures are having no discernible effect on the cell, and the walls are degrading at a very high rate, forcing them to be replaced within a week at best, although the blood makes it nearly impossible to properly achieve this. SCP-035 may have to be moved to a new cell entirely, with the old one sealed off and disengaged from the rest of the facility. That's crazy. From a mask? Oh my god. Alright, well, that's where we're going to end it today. The last one was a lot. I'd only heard a little bit about it before, but that was quite a bit. All right. Well, again, I have been your host, AJ, and as always, secure, contain, protect.